It's natural that there should be a mini electric variant. This little hatch lends itself to full battery motion and quick step EV pulling power. The driving range possible between charges isn't a particular strong point here, but it'll probably be fine for urban folk who'll appreciate this car's enthusiastic take on life. Market interest suggests that it could prove rather popular. It shoots away from rest with appropriate mini and EV alacrity and a notable lack of wheel spin even in the wet. 37 miles an hour takes under 4 seconds and 62 miles an hour is accomplished in just 7.3 seconds. So we're talking near Mini Cooper S levels of performance, though as with all EVs the maximum speed is restricted, in this case to just 93 miles an hour. But then when was the last time you drove over 93 miles an hour? The car sits 18mm higher off the road than a Cooper S to give the battery more clearance, but the centre of gravity is lower because more of the powertrain's mass, it's T-shaped and fitting beneath the back seats and along the transmission tunnel, is concentrated further down. That powertrain consists of a 181 brake horsepower electric motor driven by what by EV standards is a pretty small battery, just 35.6 kilowatt hour in size. That explains the relatively meagre driving range, WLTP rated at between 140 and 145 miles. We've struggled to get much over 3 figures in typical driving. You can conserve energy by selecting the high energy recovery setting that you can activate via this toggle switch near the starter tab, which maximises brake regeneration, dramatically so to an extent that you'll hardly ever need to use the brake pedal. There are also Green and Green Plus drive mode settings that will also improve frugality, though at the cost of performance. On the positive side, the relatively compact nature of that battery has 2 advantages. First, that this car is lighter than most small EVs, so it's much more fun to drive. Sure, it's not quite as chuckable as an ordinary combustion mini hatch, and there are some slight downsides with ride quality and steering feel, but it's far more fun through the twisty stuff than most other small EVs of its kind. For mini regulars, that'll matter. The other advantage of this car's relatively small battery pack is that it delivers pretty quick recharging times. Charging from empty with the typical 7.4 kilowatt wall box that you'll need to install in your garage will take 3 hours and 12 minutes. With a public AC charging at 11 kilowatt point, charging would take 2 hours 30 minutes, and using a public DC rapid charger it'd take just 36 minutes. Mini reckons that with a typical electricity tariff you'd be paying around 4 pence per mile to run this electric model, which is around 2.5 to 6 times cheaper than an equivalent car with either a petrol or a diesel engine. The Mini Electric is based on the same body shell as the 3-door hatch, with a number of specific differences. An embossed Mini Electric logo appears on the car's side scuttles as well as on the tailgate and the front radiator grille. The front grille, embellished here with energetic yellow finishing also applied to the mirror caps, features the hallmark hexagonal shape, but is closed as the car requires no cooling. The power pack has been just about crammed in here beneath the bonnet. You can certainly see why a bigger battery simply wasn't possible. As we've already suggested, the visual changes over the standard car are of the detail sort, which means that unless you happen to notice this large charging flap in the rear driver's side flank, the dinky power-packed profile remains completely familiar and, as on the standard car, comes with the no-cost option of a roof that's either body-coloured, white or, as in this case, black. Let's pull back the frameless door and take a look inside, where, again, differences over the normal mini hatch are minimal, so there's a reasonably premium feel with supportive seats and a rather charismatic ergonomic layout. This digital instrument screen you view through the 3-spoke steering wheel will be new to most brand regulars, a 5.5-inch colour display with a digital speedo in the centre. A battery charge meter flanks this on the right with a performance display on the left, via which you can see whether the car is replenishing its energy or using various degrees of e-power. Anything else you'll want to know can be found on this dinner plate-sized central circular 6.5-inch infotainment screen, the outer rim of which lights up in various colours depending on your choice of drive mode. It works either by voice, by touching the screen, or by using this lower iDrive style controller between the seats. Whatever your preference, you'll be navigating around a circular menu with nav, phone and audio functions on the right, mini connected media options on the top left, and a further My Mini section on the bottom left, which is where you'll find driving information, drive data, technology in action e-data, and an area allowing you to plan charging times. Time to take a look in the back. Well, there's good and bad here. Despite the scalloped out seat backs, legroom remains very cramped indeed if there's an adult of more than average height in front of you. Most sports coupes we test have more knee space than this. It's some compensation, though, that you do at least get reasonable levels of head and elbow room. We'll finish by taking a look in the boot. On a little 3-door mini hatch, you won't be expecting it to be very big, and it isn't. But at least its capacity isn't compromised over that of the combustion model, which isn't always the case with EVs. Get over this rather high lip and you'll find it to be quite deep, with a good square shape and 211 litres of capacity. We have some reservations about its rather limited driving range capability, but if you're going to be regularly town-based anyway, that may not be too much of an issue. And this car's spirited handling will make up for much. Sir Alec Isagonis would have been fascinated by this model. Mini is crossing its fingers that you will be too.